we may be heading for a reset. And it may be a new world, but it may not be as bad as you think. Now, that's not a push for this old movement of agendas. It's a new push. Now, let's dive a little deeper on what I'm talking about and how this reset could actually be for our best and could be for our good. It's just a little bit different than what the world said. Let's talk about that today. Also, we're going to talk about what Ukraine just told America, because America asked Ukraine to do something very secretive. And I want to know your thoughts on it. It blows my mind because it makes you think, well, if we got that desperate here, what would the American people hear from their own government? Also, we're going to discuss how important Doge is and how important it is to hear what they're saying. You won't believe how many government workers are actually holding down a 40-hour work week in the office and how many is not. Talk about a waste of money. Let's dive into these stories today. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to our channel, please go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell. Give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, that's okay, but let us know what you think about the content of today's video. Our goal is to always share something that can benefit you. And if you watch the whole video, no matter how bad the news can be, there's always hope. And we talk about that. And our goal is to be prepared and also to gain wisdom to face the crazy things that this world throws at us. Now, let's jump into these stories. Now, I talk about a reset, and you know, we've heard those terms, and that's been like bad language for a long time. But the reset I'm talking about could actually be good. Now, it may be some growing pains, but I think it could actually be a good move. Now, let's talk about this. This was an article that came out of Zero Hedge, and then I'm going to elaborate on it a little bit more. And it says a reset is needed in America. Now, when you first hear that, you're like, "Oh, come on now!" And this is the same old talking points that we've heard from people like Gates and the UN and all this global push. Well, let's go a little bit deeper. It says in late November, 140 billion of American dollars in savings disappeared. 140 billion has been lost to this inflation, to this way that this government is spending, to the fact that we don't have any money in savings. $140 billion of outflow went away from the lower and middle classes of America, even some of the middle high class of America. Gone. Now, why is it gone? Well, because everything costs more, because all the debts that we have, because the spending and the outlandishness that we have created here in America. Now, we can still go with this trajectory. I mean, look, the market looks great, so we just keep spending money. The Democrats came out this week, 53 Democrats came out this week and told Biden to please, the money that he had set aside, grant money for the next few years, before Trump gets in office, go ahead and spend that money now. You know how much that money is for the climate? $19.5 billion. They want him to just go ahead and give it away. Go ahead and get it to those energy and these sectors and all those bureaucrats so that way Trump can't take it or not spend it. So we can go with this trajectory and we will feel a detonation of our economy and probably put us in a massive depression. Or we could stop all this madness, go through a hiccup, probably a recession to be honest with you, but actually get on sound money again. That is the reset I'm talking about. Now, Judy Skelton, which is I've been talking about lately, is a big proponent of gold-backed currency. You see Trump talking a little bit more about that, and his confidants talking about needing a true reset in the good way, America First principles. Now, I'm not a big crypto guy. There's a lot of people in his administration that is a crypto guy, but here's my thoughts. If we look at resetting the money on soundproof money, such as gold again, no matter if you have Bitcoin or dollars or whatever it may be, if it's based on sound money, then we're doing something here. We're cooking with oil. We're changing the narrative because it's not based on how powerful our military is. It's not based on how much trade we're doing in bully mentality of goods going in and out of the world. It's based back on true commodities of value, which is gold. And it's needed. Here's why. In truth, Americans are burning through their savings at a rapid pace. During the pandemic, citizens reached record savings level, meaning with the money coming in from the government, which was stimulated, which again I was not for, but what it did do is people could not spend their money. So therefore they banked it. They actually took in a lot of savings and learned how to not spend their money. Now that's something we can learn. Not that we need to go through another 2020. The point is, if we learn to not spend everything we make, and we learn to say, you know what, we can go without it and understand what wants and needs are, that's the reset we need. America, we've been so used to just going and getting what we want for so long that we don't even know what our wants and needs actually are. So therefore, when we get our payroll, it's already spent, and by the end of the month, we're using debts. That is a majority of Americans. They said over 70% of people are needing either paycheck to paycheck living, or they're needing some buy now, pay later, or living off credit cards by the end of the month. It says the U.S. credit card debt recently surpassed $1.14 trillion. That is a new record. While growing unprecedented speeds, it's not slowing down. If it doesn't slow down, you're going to keep on the same trajectory, but then you're going to see not just a correction, but a collapse. So why don't we control that collapse before that point, and let's actually reset it. Let's reestablish our money. Let's quit taking money from people and start learning how to flat tax, learning how to let people hold on to their own money. Let's revamp some of the retirements and the Medicare spending that we have. Not that we take away the benefits of the people already on it, but that we start structuring something different for our younger individuals. That is not a bad idea. Now, don't let the media skew this, and that's why I think Trump, if he really wants this to take place and we really want to see some kind of good reset, he comes out and speaks to the American people straight out, like he's been doing. That is a game changer. And let's start getting on sound money again. Let's get rid of the trade deficits, and let's quit spending frivolously. For instance, Mike Johnson stopped a $24 billion spending bill to Ukraine. Not only that, you hear the Democrats are wanting Biden to spend another $19.5 billion before Trump comes in office. That together, those totals, that's over 40-something billion dollars just frivolously wanting to be spent in the last week. Now, that's just a drop in the hat, but we can start by fixing that, and that's the kind of reset I'm talking about. If we would learn to know what wants and needs are, and we learn to get on a budget, and not only us, our government get on a budget, think of how great it could be if we start seeing a strong economy again in America. Now, would we feel hiccup because we quit spending money? The government quits printing money, quits spending money, and quits just throwing money at the private sector and making it look like, oh, the private sector's doing great. If we quit doing that, it would probably hurt us for a little bit. We would face a recession or correction, but it's one that we can control, stabilize, and reset. That's what Trump needs to do. Now, that rolls us right into the next story. This was a report from Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, and they've been meeting with people on Capitol Hill, and this is why we need that renewed sense of purpose, because this is the report that they just shared. This was a New York Post article, and then Elon Musk commented on it. It said, only 6% of federal workers show up in person for a full-time basis, says a new Senate report that has just been given to the public. 6% of federal workers are actually going into the office for full-time work. Where's the other 94%? Now listen to this. This is will blow your mind even more. Doge came out, which is Elon Musk said, if you exclude security guards and maintenance personnel, people who watch over the buildings and clean up after all these people that are not there, the sweepers, the cleaners, the trash picker-uppers, if you take them out, the number of government workers actually drops to less than 1%. So 1% of federal workers are actually in office working a 40-hour work week. You talk about a waste of money. This is why we need a reset. You know why they hate Pete Hegseth so much? Because he wants a reset in the Pentagon. You know why they hate Kash Patel so much? Because he wants a reset in FBI. These things are what we need. You know, when we're sick, here at our home, we make herbal remedies. We drink elderberry syrup, and we make tinctures with our garden. You're sitting by our kitchen garden. Those tinctures and those syrups sometimes are not that good. Those teas are just, ugh. But what are we doing? We're trying to make our immunity stronger because we're either facing something in our body, a sickness, a cold, a flu, whatever it may be, but we're drinking that to reset our immunity to make it better. Now, for the time being, drinking that stuff makes you want to feel like you got to throw up. But what does it do? It heals our body and makes us better. Well, that's what I'm talking about with our economy and with our government. We may have to drink the syrup because there's signs that we're not doing too well. When we learn to take the medicine like knowledge and wisdom that God has blessed us with, then we will learn that it will be better, and we can build a solid ground again, a firm foundation, and a true city on a hill in America. This is something we need. Now, let's move across the world. A new report from Ukraine. Ukraine just said, I reject what the U.S. just said. You know what the U.S. just said? Ukraine firmly rejects U.S. calls to lower conscription. Ukraine has firmly rejected calls from Washington and NATO to lower the conscription from 25 to 18. Ukraine has a conscription, a draft, basically that's set at 25. Instead of us trying to work on a peace deal, you know what U.S. and NATO is trying to do? They're trying to make them lower it to get to 18. They're trying to make sure that they're going to get as many men out of these generations to serve and be unprepared and ill-equipped as they fight a battle that they shouldn't even be in. Why is U.S. and NATO so worried about making sure Ukraine lowers the age so that way they can just make more men fall in this war? Now, Ukraine rejects it. You know why they probably reject it? Because they realize that without these 18 to 25-year-olds of males and even younger, they will have no population left after this is all over. So they're rejecting it. So it's amazing that not only 2 years ago could they have had a peace deal. Now Ukraine is even saying, look, no matter how bad you want this war, proxy, NATO and America, I can't lower our rate. We have no men left. And then on top of that, if we lower to 18, then you're taking all the men who are producing children and babies again will be gone. So they're saying, no, that's a little too far. Now, the problem with this is this. If America and NATO is so desperate to take other people's kids and make them go to war, what would they do to us if all of a sudden we actually felt a true threat? You know, they've talked about opening the draft back up. Remember, your children, your 18-year-old sons, they have to go sign up for the draft again. Even though they say, oh, that would never happen. They have to sign up for it, don't they? Don't be blinded by this bureaucracy that we have in NATO and in Washington. That we're not even protected by our own people because, look, they're willing to send other kids to fight on these wars. You don't think they'll send us too? Now, I'll be honest with you. This is scary to me because while we're giving billions of our dollars to someone who is not considered an ally of ours to fight another superpower that threatens us with nukes, we're wanting them to send more younger individuals to fight a war. What is next? So I'll go back to my original statement. We need a renewed sense of confidence, and we need a reset. No one trusts the media. No one trusts politicians. No one trusts the Senate and Congress. You're starting to lose trust in the Supreme Court. No one trusts our military. Those are all surveyed facts. You know how you fix that? You change it. You open legacy media up to where they're falling to pieces now. I mean, hopefully MSNBC will be bought by someone who's smart. But you know what they need to do? Trump needs to do just what he said. We're going to open the press pool up to individual investigative journalists. We're going to open up the pool for people that do news on Twitter and YouTube. We're going to allow other people to go in there instead of just legacy media, instead of just the press. We're going to change the press up. So then people can have a renewed sense of trust in the people that they already trust versus legacy media. How you trust the military again? You reset it. You get someone like Hedgeseth in there that changes the way that we do business militarily wise. We run these PMCs out and we find people that are good at their jobs and they have a purpose and they go do the purpose, then they get back home. That's how you make trust happen. You know, you make trust happen in the Senate and Congress. You see term bills passed to where they can't stay in Congress forever. You know how you fix that? Honestly, this is how you do it. None of them will get rid of their money train. None of them will. Nobody will sign a term limited bill. But you know how you do it? And this is still sleazy, but I would do it this way. Make every one of them grandfathered in. So they make a term limited bill so when they retire or when they get out of office or when they lose, that it automatically falls term limited to where you can only serve 2 to 3 terms as a congressman or senate from that point on. So it makes them where they can still ride their money train until they lose or until they retire. Now that's a terrible way because I don't like none of the Congress and Senate and all that's up there now, but it would allow for a better future and a better reset. They pass that and say, okay, we're grandfathered in, but if we get beat or we retire, the next guy coming in automatically falls under term limits. That'd be a pretty good deal. I think they should sign that, and I think Trump should offer that up because that would be the only way, the only flipping way that we could get some of these people out of power. That's how you build trust again. Supreme Court, I mean, when Trump gets back in office and these people start retiring out, like I know that they said Alito and Thomas, which are the two stalwarts when it comes to conservatism, they're getting older. Sotomayor, which is a liberal that shouldn't have been on the court in the first place, he needs to put staunch conservatives and constitutionalists back on the bench. That's how you set up trust back in the Supreme Court. You see how this works? It's a reset that we need. America principles back, Christian principles back, morals and values back, the pendulum swinging in the right way. So, do we need a reset globally? Nope. We don't want anything that the UN, NATO, and all these oligarchies are trying to do. But we do need a reset in a way we think of money, a way that we look at America, in a way that we approach American values, and get rid of the swamp that's in Washington. That's what we need. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on these stories, how important they are. Are you happy that you're paying federal workers and they're only 1% are actually in office for 40-hour work weeks? Now me, I have to work way more than 40 hours a week, not counting my second and third job. Is it fair that private citizens have to work 40 hours a week in office when our federal government's not making them do it? Remember, he just allowed 42,000 more Social Security workers to stay at home and still pay them top dollar. That's why we need a renewed sense of goodness and greatness again. And I believe that if we have our way, Trump, along with Elon Musk, Vivek, RFK, Tulsi, Hegseth, some of those guys can make some changes in the reset we need. Guys, let me know your thoughts. God bless.